Hi there, I'm Scott, and this is GreatScott Knitting, my little corner of the knitting YouTube universe. Today is Saturday, November 19th, 2022, and I come to you from Wichita, Kansas, here in the south central part of the state, and it has been cold here. The temperatures have been ranging down into the teens, and like for a couple of days it didn't get above 30. That's for me, that's cold. I don't know about anybody else, but that is in the cold range. And as I kind of think back over the past couple of years, maybe even 3 or 4 years, November kind of stays in the 50s, sometimes even the 60s, but this year, cold has hit earlier. So late fall is turning into an earlier winter. That's okay. It's that time of year anyway. We actually had some snow that accumulated earlier this week, probably about 1/4 of an inch, which for November in Wichita, Kansas is kind of significant. We don't often get measurable snowfall this early in the year. So, or this early in the season, I should say. So that's been interesting. That has truly been interesting. So let me welcome you all in. So to those of you who are new to this podcast, welcome. Please stick around and see what kind of craziness happens here. I hope you enjoy the channel, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Take a moment to click the subscribe button. That will help grow this channel a little bit, and it's just kind of helpful for me. And it also kind of lets me know that I'm giving you something you might enjoy. For those of you who are returning viewers, welcome in again. If you haven't subscribed yet, take a moment to hit that little button to help grow the channel. With all of those requirements out of the way, let's jump into the goodness of talking about fiber and knitting. So the craziness that is Vlogtober is over. We are deep into gift knitting season. And I've was looking at my gift knit box and found that there's a lot of shawls and not a whole lot of stuff there that guys might want to wear and have. So I cast on some scarves, and one of them I have finished. So my finished scarf is the Multidirectional Diagonal Scarf by Caron, Baumer. Let me just kind of show you that pattern and that scarf. It is a free pattern. Yes, it is a free pattern on Ravelry. And here's kind of what that looks like. So you can see it's a basic garter stitch scarf. You can put fringe on it if you choose, but it has some short row shaping that creates these triangular kind of wedges that flow through. So that is the multi-directional scarf. So let me show you the yarn that I used first off. Some time ago I was gifted a whole mess of these skeins called Classic Shades by Universal Yarns. It is a 70% acrylic, 30% wool based yarn, and you can kind of see those color fades. It goes really from like greens and yellows to purples and blues. in a very kind of faded effect. Also kind of a marled, I mean, like the colors are twisted in with each other, as you can see. And so it has this nice slow fade to it. So here is my version. I used 2 balls of this yarn. It is a excuse me. It is a worsted weight yarn, maybe slightly a heavier worsted weight yarn. But yeah, here's kind of what that looks like, doubled over. I mean, I like nice long scarves, so I can kind of do the keyhole effect to be able to wrap it around your neck and make a nice, give yourself several wraps of this. But you can see how the effect that this yarn has. So it goes from sort of those colors and then through all of these different shades. And I just love how this knits up, especially with this pattern. I think it works really nicely because the colors are shifting slowly, that it creates this really lovely effect. Again, that is a free pattern on Ravelry, so go check that out. It's a quick knit. It's because it is worsted weight yarn, and it just looks really cool. What else have I finished? So I did cast on another one of those, and I'll show that to you in just a moment. But the other finished object is basically some earmuff type things. It's a head wrap earmuff combination. The pattern is called Snow Trails Ear Warmers. And let me show you an example of what that looks like. So the pattern is for 2 strands of worsted weight yarn held together. So it'd be a bulky type of yarn. And I don't remember the needle size it calls for. It calls for a US 9, so it'd be a relatively tight fabric. Now, I chose to use a bulky yarn instead, and I actually went up a needle size, and now I'm kind of wondering if maybe I should have gone down, stayed with a 9, but I used this yarn. This is all I have left after knitting 2. So basically I can get kind of 2 of them on the way I'm knitting it out of a 100-gram skein of this bulky yarn. Now, here's the thing. I do not remember what this yarn is. All I know is that it is 100% wool yarn. I don't think it's merino. It's a little toothy. It's very much a worsted spun type of yarn. So it lends itself really nicely to this project. So let me show you my version. Looks like this, and so on the head it's going to kind of cover up my balding aspects, and as you can see, it's really nicely covers the ears all the way, and yet keeps your face open, as well as the back of your head, so it doesn't bunch up and be weird. But it's really nice. I've made these before, and they're really nice and warm when they fit appropriately. So yeah, that's kind of a nice thing. I did a few different things than the pattern called for. I added an additional stitch, and then it calls for slipping the first stitch of each row. I chose to slip the last stitch of each row, and so I made adjustments in the pattern to account for the additional stitch and the change in slippage. But it gives that nice clean edge on both sides that I really liked. Now, how did I get to this yarn? Now, again, I don't remember what the name of the yarn is or where I got it. All I know is that it's been in my stash and that at some point I dyed it. And I know I dyed it because it has my own ties on this. Yeah, here we go. It has my ties that I put on here. You can tell that it has a base of this sort of peachy color, and then I added some additional colors like magenta and teal, or like Caribbean blue over here, and deep purple, just in some splotch of colors, just so you'd have these just different color pops. And I saw these two skeins in my stash, and I was like, oh, those would make some really great earmuffs or hats, but I don't like the peach base. So I overdyed it. And I overdyed it in some chestnut brown, which toned down some of the colors, but for the most part, you still have the bright magenta colors, you have the bright teals, you have the deep purples, but that peach color has been really cooled off a little bit. It's not so vibrant, and it still kind of shows up, but you have primarily this lovely brown that's going on. This sort of, it's a reddish kind of brown, but I thought it was a perfect type of skein to throw some brown on it. I'm considering overdying this one in black and seeing what that does. Might be okay, might not. Experimenting is fun, so I don't know. I definitely want to do something along those lines and either do up a bulky hat or some more of these earmuffs, because these earmuffs are really, really handy, and just kind of be able to hand those out to people. So technically, those are my only, not only technically, but in reality, those are my only finished objects. But I did have finished objects this past couple of weeks. So really, why only 2 finished objects? Well, for about, there have been some other things going on in life, and I'll get to some of those things later, helping out my husband with some projects. And I found that at the end of October, going into November, that I was starting to have some elbow discomfort. Now, it's not joint related, and it wasn't muscular. It was more like in the tendons right here around this bone that were causing me some discomfort, like it was strained. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break, a few days break from knitting, and see if that will calm it down and bring it back to some normalcy. And it seems to have done so. Now, because I was also doing some work with my husband, which was really manual labor, I think that also may have contributed to this discomfort. So it may not all been the frantic knitting during October, but it may have been some of my other stuff as well. So I took a few days off from knitting, which I rarely do, just to allow that to settle down And it's still a little twingy, so I'm not back up to my normal level of cranking knitting stuff out, but I'll get back there eventually. So before we go on to works in progress, what am I wearing? I am wearing the Boneyard Shawl by Stephen West. This was my end of the Mystery Knit Along project, which technically I cast on before the end of the Mystery Knit Along. As I awaited Clue 4, I cast this on to fill my time, and then I finished it up afterwards. It was a great palette cleanser. It allowed me to sort of that decompress after the frantic knitting of October, because it's just a basic triangular shawl with stockinette and some garter ridges that kind of pop in there. Really simple, easy knit. Great to sort of relax the brain and do some just very, very basic knitting. I've been wearing the heck out of this too because it's been so cold. So let's talk about works in progress. I only have one work in progress, and that is another multi-directional scarf. This one using Caron skinny cakes. I had knit a baby blanket out of some Caron skinny cakes, and this is a cake that I had left over, or part of a cake that I had left over that I'm doing this on. And as you can see, it starts with some purples, goes into some yellows, and then some plum type colors back to it, some deep purples, and then eventually we'll come back to the light purples and yellow. I'm not sure how much longer I'm gonna knit this. Probably a little bit longer, so I can get that nice wrap around the neck and being able to pull it through. So it's got a ways to go still. I'm not flying through this one like I did the other one, because the elbow, trying to relax that a little bit. But I'm doing a couple of inches on it every day just to keep things moving along. So that's where that's going, and that'll probably go into the generic gift box for people who want, for people we need to send out gifts to, as will this scarf. It'll just be going into my generic gifting box for other people. So that is kind of the end of the fiber related stuff. Not really bringing in anything new right now, due to most of my knitting budget, my yarn budget, is being eaten up by my husband's projects. So oh no, wait, hang on. There's technically another whip that has actually been in hibernation that I am deciding that I'm going to bring out of hibernation and bring back into full-blown activity. And I've been living in this little bag here, which I have no idea where I got it. It's just a bag I have. I'm not big on project bags. That's just not a bug I've received. And maybe it's because I haven't really gotten any really cool project bags in my life, so maybe I should do that for myself. So, not this past winter, but the winter before? Was this from 2020 or early 2021? I think this was from 2020. Okay, so that's how long this has been in hibernation. Is actually almost a little over a year that this has been in hibernation. But it is a blanket that I am knitting out of Caron Big Cakes. Oop, yep, there it is. Caron Big Cakes. There's that colorway in the blues and the grays. It's called Nightberry. So, and the pattern is actually a scarf pattern that I'm just blowing out into a blanket pattern that has these geometrical blocks going on. So just a basic kind of throw that I am knitting. I would say it's about a third of the way done, half the way done. I don't know. 2/5 of the way done. I don't know how much farther I'm going to go. I will probably try and knit up that entire cake into this and then cast it off and call it finished. But, you know, it'll be a nice little throw for cool winter nights when you want to lay on the couch watching some Hulu or Disney Plus or whatever. So I'm thinking of bringing that out of hibernation. I have another long hibernating knit, which is the Flax Sweater. It's just, I don't know. Sweater knitting and me just have not, I still don't have that that real drive to need to knit a sweater. But then part of me is also like, I kind of want to knit a sweater. I want to be successful at that. I want to conquer that mountain, that monolith of knitting, and I haven't approached it yet. Not in earnest. I mean, I have knit some sweaters. I've knit a pullover with kind of Elizabeth Zimmerman type pullover. Hate the neckline. It just doesn't fit right. It doesn't fit right in the shoulders either. I still wear it, but it's not perfect. And I would just wear it as sort of a putzing around the house type of sweater, not out in public kind of sweater. I also have a cardigan that I knit, cabled cardigan. If you were hung around during Vlogtober, you saw that, and the cables are sweet, but I hate the button band and the neckline on that. But again, both of those sweaters were on cheap yarn, so I consider them experiments in sweater knitting, but not hardcore delving into it. And I've got to say, just about every time I've sat down to knit a sweater, it has taken me forever. I knit on them for a while, and then they go into the timeout pile, and they can sit there for ages before they actually come out and get finished. My cardigan, I think it was 3 years from the point that it was cast on to the point where it was actually finished and wearable. This flax has been in hibernation as long as that blanket has been. They kind of were cast on together, and then kind of got tired and bored with them and went on to something else. It would bring me joy, so I wasn't going to knit them. But I am one of these people that I will eventually come back and finish you. So the blanket, I think, is coming out of hibernation for the holiday season as one of the things I'm working on. I need to figure out what big project I want to tackle. I still want to do the Hallgrim scarf, but I'm just not in a point where I want to do that. I'm still kind of coming down from and sort of resetting after October. I'm just not ready to take on something big yet again. So so I'm just doing little things like hats and scarves and earmuffs and things like that. Oh, actually, oh wait, I did finish a hat. Where is that? Let me go see if I can find that hat. So I did finish this hat in the past couple of weeks, and it is basically a Ross hat. For those of you who watch Smells Like Yarn, so it is a basic Ross hat, but with a little bit change to the crown decrease. It is a 6-stitch crown decrease, so it has 6 decreases along the sides, creating sort of that a different crown to it. But for the most part, it is the Ross hat. And it fits nicely enough. It's basically a beanie, but it comes down. What I need to really do is knit one like this, but make it really long so I can flip the brim. But because it has a 3x1 rib, flipping the brim doesn't really work. So if I were to do it, I'd want to do a 2x2 so I can flip the brim and it would work well. But the yarn is a Knit Crate Mystery yarn, but it's based on a tweed yarn that they had last year, I think. So you can see that it's got these like Donegal nep type stuff in it. So it's real pretty. It's real nice. It's real nice. It was really lovely yarn to work with. So yeah, so that was one more thing that I had. So what is coming next on my needles? New? I don't know. I have so many things favorited that it's just ridiculous. And let me see how many options I have. I actually have a lot of options. Let's see. I could come back and do... I liked the Boyfriend Scarf by Lucinda Campbell. I've knit one of those in the past. Let me see if I can find a decent example. Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's kind of a waffle rib type of scarf. That kind of gives you a sense of the texture going on. So I might do that. It's really simple. It's just knit some pearls as a, another scarf to work on. So we'll see. Who knows? Lots of options, lots of possibilities of things to work on. Time will only tell. I'm still taking it easy here in November. Next week here in the States, it is the United States Thanksgiving celebration, where we will overcook, overeat, and overindulge in watching television and stuff. But yeah, so that's about it. So what have I been up to other than knitting? Well, okay. So here in Wichita, we have a botanical garden named Botanica. It's our community garden area here in Wichita, Kansas. And every holiday season, they decorate the botanical garden with lights. And they call it Illuminations. It is their big fundraiser for the botanical garden every year, and it is really quite beautiful. And my dear husband last year, well, okay, let me preface. My dear husband collects ceramic buildings and has been doing it for years. Now, I'm not talking there are larger ceramic buildings, but he collects the small ones that used to get at like Dollar Tree and Walmart for like $1. CVS and Walgreens used to carry them as well. And there are these just little ceramic holiday buildings. Well, he collects those. And he has amassed quite the collection. And he used to put out a display every holiday season. So last year he contacted the Botanical Garden and their Illuminations team and said, "Hey, would you be interested in me setting up a holiday village display?" And they were like, "Absolutely, come do that." So last year he had his first display, and this year he went back and did it again, bigger and better. And so let me share with you some of those pictures from his holiday village. I'll just pick a couple of them here. So there's one view of his holiday village. There's some other detail scenes. A little holiday amusement area. His town square. He has a little mountain in the countryside. And of course, he has a moon with Santa flying over it in the middle of the town area. And then, of course, there's the train station with the little train in the background. So I have worked to help him set some of that up for the season, which runs through, and actually it opened to the public tonight, and it will run to the end of the year. So I did a lot of manual labor to help him do that. We built some plexiglass walls to go in front of the display and then installed those. So I was instrumental in doing some of that manual labor, which is kind of part of that injury. And yeah, so we've got that put together. So let me share with you a couple of the images from Illuminations. Let's see if I can. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me show you one other thing. In addition to the Holiday Village, he also collects miniature amusement park rides, and he set up a little miniature holiday amusement park, complete with a working model roller coaster, a working model Ferris wheel, and then all these working amusement park rides. Super cute. Here's some of what Illuminations looks like here in Wichita. just a couple of things. They have a giant, I can't remember how many feet tall this is, but it's really quite large. Like in the background, you can kind of see those are cars that they have on display from a local dealership. So you can kind of see this is quite large. This is a the tree changes colors and has different views. In fact, there's even an entire show which lasts about maybe 15 or 20 minutes to music, which plays, and then the light show kind of plays around and on this Christmas tree. It's really quite fascinating and beautiful. So if you're in the Wichita area at any point between now and the end of the year, get your tickets to go see Illuminations. It is beautiful out there, and the light shows are wonderful. They have several different light shows in different parts of the botanical park, and yeah, it's definitely worth the trip to go out there. So that has been taking up a considerable amount of my time to help my husband put that together and get that set up. What else have I been doing? I've been finishing up the available books for the series I've been listening to, Books on Tape. The series is the Fledgling God series by Michael Taggart, and I'm on the last book now, which is called Buried Mage. And basically, there's some things that happen that the main character gets buried alive in concrete, and how he survives that ordeal. Mages being basically immortal unless you kill them physically. So yeah, been listening to that off and on. Been watching my podcasts here on YouTube. Haven't done a lot of streaming watching. Haven't been doing a lot of gaming lately. There was a point earlier, or towards the end of the summer, beginning of fall, I was doing a lot of gaming, playing Dragon Age video games, and watching streaming. Like some of the things I watched over the summer were like old Star Trek, and then all the new Star Trek stuff on Paramount Plus. Excuse me, my nose is itching. And yeah, so I haven't been doing a lot of TV watching. Been doing, like, Vlogtober was like knitting, talking with you folks, watching other people talking about their MCAL experiences, and that's about it. Work has been busy, but not busy like it was this summer. It's a different kind of busy, and this past week I was doing some really intensive training, providing some intensive training for my own team, which is always nerve-wracking when you are teaching your peers. So that was a stressful but positive stressful week around doing that. Other than that, that's just about it. That brings us pretty much to a close today. I hope you are enjoying the beginning of the holiday season, which really kicks off next week with the beginning of the United States Thanksgiving period. At least here in the United States, we really kind of mark the holiday season from our Thanksgiving celebration. As we head into that time, and we are just right around the corner from, I guess, what we call Vlogmas. I'll probably do a Vlognica, a Hanukkah Vlogmas type thing when Hanukkah kicks off. This year, Hanukkah kicks off the week of Christmas. I have to look at specific dates of that. Man, I really kind of wish it would all kind of always fall in the same spot, but it just doesn't. So it always, the Jewish holidays always keep you on your toes in terms of paying attention to your calendar. So yeah, that maybe it is definitely something that will be coming in the future for us here, is Vlognica. But other than that, have a lovely beginning of your holiday season. May you keep that as peaceful and joyful as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off. It's been a pleasure, as usual, having some time with you all. So may you have peace in your home and the fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Until next time.